Stewart-Haas Racing loses a major sponsor to rival organization Trackhouse, and a key free agent driver is reportedly off the market. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove, back in the studio, and just in the nick of time, there is a ton of news to get to today. Before we get started though, I assume if you're watching this video, you're probably a big NASCAR fan. Hit that subscribe button down below. It's free, it's easy, and you'll be among the first to know the latest NASCAR news as it happens. We'll get to NASCAR free agency in a moment. Let's begin with Anheuser-Busch. It's been rumored for months, but today it was made official. Anheuser-Busch is leaving Stewart-Haas Racing and will join rival organization Trackhouse and Ross Chastain beginning next year. You can see some of the big reveal video they posted on social media today. I was honestly hoping they would announce some sort of watermelon flavor crossover, but maybe they're saving that for a later date. This is huge news. Anheuser-Busch, whether it be Busch Light, Budweiser, has been a part of Stewart-Haas Racing, I believe since 2014, since Kevin Harvick brought them over from RCR. Harvick, of course, is retiring at the end of this year, and Busch Light seized this opportunity to join a rival, up-and-coming star in Ross Chastain. This is a huge win for Trackhouse. 2 years ago, I called them the most interesting team in NASCAR. Last year, with Chastain making it to the championship before, I called them the most impressive team in NASCAR. Now, I'm gonna start calling Trackhouse the most innovative team in NASCAR. Ever since I saw that live guitarist outside their haulers in Nashville, honestly, that blew my mind. And honestly, Project 91 bringing international superstar Shane Van Gisbergen in to win an innovative NASCAR Cup Series race. Yeah, Trackhouse, the most innovative team in NASCAR, just keeps getting bigger. I would have made the same decision if I was Busch Light. I don't know what the future of Stewart-Haas Racing looks like. Harvick and Rodney Childers are holding down the fort there right now. Harvick will be out of the picture soon. What happens? I think Josh Berry's a good pickup. He's no Kevin Harvick. Stewart-Haas Racing is in limbo. Trackhouse, meanwhile, is an ascending organization. Ross Chastain has emerged as a new star, potentially one day a superstar. The watermelon, the farming background, I think blends nicely with Busch's image. It all fits together really, really well. We talk all the time about how important sponsorship is, so I'm not going to downplay this. This is a huge deal, a huge win for Trackhouse. Ross Chastain already has a win this year. He's 5th in points, still really good, still a championship threat. Busch Beer coming along next year can only help that team get even better. While this is a big win for Trackhouse, though, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is a big loss for Stewart-Haas. Again, we can't talk about how sponsorship drives the sport and then downplay when a major partner leaves a team. Sure, Busch Beer leaving Gene Haas may not have quite the same effects as, 5 Hour Energy leaving Barney Visser, who is funding his whole race team via his furniture store. That team losing a sponsor is going to be felt more than probably Stewart-Haas losing a sponsor, if I had to guess. But Busch Beer is a major partner. By my count, they've sponsored Harvick for 8 out of, I think, 20 possible races this year. Like as the primary, obviously they have an associate sponsorship deal every week. Again, this has been rumored for a while now. I imagine Busch Beer signed the deal with Trackhouse probably several months ago. So this isn't new. This isn't Stewart-Haas being blindsided today on, Tuesday, July 11th. They've had some time, I imagine, to absorb this information and look for potential replacements. But it's still a big deal. You lose Kevin Harvick, you lose Busch Light, you might lose Eric Almirola, and no disrespect, that's maybe not the biggest deal. The bigger deal is losing Smithfield potentially. Again, Stewart-Haas Racing is in limbo right now. They are in full-on, full reset, full rebuild mode. We'll see exactly what grows out of this. I recently compared Stewart-Haas Racing to like Roush in the 2010s when they were losing star drivers, performance declined, and they had to downsize. I remember those years also, they lost a lot of sponsors. Like DeWalt left Roush after 2009 and before long was with Richard Petty Motorsports. 3M, I remember, left Greg Biffle for Jeff Gordon, I think, or Chase Elliott. UPS backed out of the sport entirely. Crown Royal, who'd been a loyal sponsor, left. So, that team lost some sponsors. They lost some drivers. They lost performance. Stewart-Haas has lost some drivers. Now they've lost some sponsors. They've obviously lost performance. The parallels are undeniable at this point. Both are Ford teams as well, if that means anything. I don't know. Again, I talked about this last week while I was on vacation. If you missed that episode, I'll put it up here. Talked all about Stewart-Haas and some free agent decisions I think they should make, but I'll summarize here. I still think Stewart-Haas Racing should quadruple down on getting seasoned veteran race car drivers to drive their stuff. Briscoe, Preece, Josh Berry collectively don't have a ton of NASCAR experience, but all of them are very mature race car drivers. Shane Van Gisbergen, if he's interested, if he's available, would fit in very nicely with this group. And hey, because he's from New Zealand, he's raced in Australia, maybe that would open the door up to some potential international sponsors, especially with recent rumors that NASCAR will in fact go to Canada next year. The Cup Series, I should say. Who knows? Maybe there's some marketing opportunities there with Shane Van Gisbergen. So I'll just keep quadrupling down on that take until, Stewart-Haas makes a different decision. But anyway, that's all I've really got to say. The sponsorship game is ruthless in NASCAR. Man, go back to Darlington a few years ago, the Xfinity Series, when Chastain and Harvick got together. Who would have thought that this is what the future would hold? Not me. Certainly not me. We've talked sponsorship silly season. Now let's talk NASCAR driver silly season, free agency. The Athletic yesterday reports that Corey LaJoie is finalizing a multi-year contract extension to stay with Spire Motorsports. According to Jordan Bianchi, the deal is expected to be finalized in the coming weeks. Corey LaJoie was a guest on my podcast Power Hour last week or the week before. I'm not surprised that he's staying. Corey LaJoie's had a tremendous season. He's 24th in points. That's 7 positions better than he and Spire were last year. His average finish is 19.7. That's nearly 5 positions better than his average finish last year. Spire, LaJoie, they've been building something slowly but surely the past couple of years. This was the first season we've seen them take a significant jump. They also recently signed a sponsorship deal with Gainbridge. I think they're going to sponsor 16 races, some of them on the 7, some on the 77, but hey, that's a big deal. With Andretti Autosport interested in joining NASCAR, there's some rumors that could be a future partnership, but that's just a rumor. LaJoie's had a good year. I'm not surprised at all he'd want to stay. What did surprise me, though, reading this article in The Athletic, Jordan Bianchi writes that several bigger teams were interested in signing Corey LaJoie. They were at least considering it. Don't know exactly what kind of deal they put in front of him. Maybe the terms weren't great. Maybe Spire was truly the best offer. But I do find that interesting that LaJoie reportedly had options from teams that maybe have more resources than Spire. Yet LaJoie chose to stay with Spire. That tells me that Corey LaJoie is extremely comfortable where he's at. As long as Corey LaJoie has been on my radar, it's been 4, 5, 6 years now, he's always been the lovable underdog, scraping by with teams like BK Racing, Go Fast, then finally getting a respectable opportunity with a still new, a still unproven Spire. I almost think LaJoie is more comfortable playing from behind than he is playing with the lead, if that makes sense. He's better when he has a chip on his shoulder. Look, I don't really hold Gateway against him when he filled in for Chase Elliott. Hendrick Motorsports, great opportunity. It was last minute, not a good track for Hendrick. I really don't hold that against him, but it's worth mentioning he didn't run well. I also think about Atlanta last year when he was leading on the final lap and just didn't block the top and ironically let Chase Elliott get around him. Actually, I think it was like 2 laps ago, whatever the case may be. The point is, I think Corey LaJoie is much more comfortable being the underdog. He's comfortable at Spire, a team that obviously is improving and I think is kind of building themselves around him these past couple of years. Comfort level is extremely important. It means a lot. We've seen good drivers with good teams kind of struggle. Good driver goes to a different team. We see that maybe as a downgrade, and maybe they improve a little bit. Like, I think of Daniel Suarez recently. Stewart-Haas couldn't make the playoffs. Trackhouse, first year in the next gen, Suarez wins a race, he's in the postseason. Sometimes it's good to step outside your comfort zone, challenge yourself. But when you're trying to perform at the top level of American motorsports, maybe it's better to be comfortable To have a group surrounding you that believes in you. LaJoie has that multi-year commitment, some stability. He's not constantly looking over his shoulder at that 18-year-old in Xfinity who may be coming to replace him. It's important to feel comfortable. I think Corey LaJoie is comfortable being the underdog and working with a team that is getting better. I do think Spire is improving. They've taken a huge step forward this year, signed on some new sponsorship. They got to figure out what they're doing with that 77 car, but the 7 I'm not worried about. LaJoie's looked really good this year, and I'm hopeful that next year they can take another small step forward. So I like this move for Corey LaJoie. I like this move for Spire. I wish I knew what bigger teams considered signing LaJoie and what those deals looked like, because maybe there is another deal out there that LaJoie was foolish to pass up on, but I like what they're building here at Spire. I don't blame Corey LaJoie for sticking with what he's comfortable with. I think they're building something pretty cool there at Spire. I'm glad he's a part of it. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you like that Corey LaJoie is staying at Spire? Do you wish he'd tested the waters elsewhere? And how do you feel about Anheuser-Busch leaving Stewart-Haas for Ross Chastain? Is that Chastain-Busch Light pairing a good match? How does Stewart-Haas bounce back from this? Let me know down in the comment section below. But thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Be sure to hit that subscribe button again if you're new and you love NASCAR. And thank you to my Patreon supporters for your very generous support. You may see me again later today. There are a lot of headlines out there, a lot of stories to cover. I'll see you again very, very soon. Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon, folks.